At MedStory, we take privacy seriously and follow all healthcare privacy laws. Some details may be changed to protect confidentiality. The views expressed are solely those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views of their employer.
Every year, thousands of doctors graduate medical school, filled with hope, ambition, and often uncertainty. But what if you weren't a doctor? What if you were standing just outside the white coat, watching everything unfold behind the curtain? Today's story is about someone who did exactly that. Remember this name, Tyler Polk, because he never planned to work in healthcare. But when his wife entered medical school, everything changed.
There is a long, long journey to becoming a physician, and nobody could appreciate that better than physicians themselves.
Welcome to the MedStory podcast. In healthcare, we often talk about uncertainty, confusing bills, denied coverage, and prices no one can explain. But there's another kind of opacity that we don't talk about enough: how providers are paid. What if the people that are caring for us aren't being paid fairly? Or what if they don't even know what their peers are making? Well, today we're diving into one of the most overlooked conversations in medicine: salary transparency. Why it matters, who it affects, and how breaking the silence could change everything. So if you're a healthcare provider or someone who just wants to fix what's broken, you're going to want to hear this. Let's begin. When Tyler's wife began her journey through medical school, he didn't just witness the pressure, he could feel it. The interviews, the match, the relocations, the stress.
I think as a med spouse, you kind of get a behind the scenes look into the path and the journey of becoming a physician. There's so much that we don't really understand that happened behind the curtains of becoming a doctor.
He thought getting into medical school was the final destination. Instead, it was just the start of a winding and exhausting road.
I always thought getting into medical school always felt like the end game, right? And then you get into medical school and then you're focused on residency. And that's a whole nother animal in itself. And then once you get into residency, I've learned about this thing called fellowship and research years. And you can stay on the education journey about as long as you would like to.
Watching from the sidelines, Tyler noticed something else: that doctors had no safe place to talk. Rumors or red flags about toxic residency programs were scattered across Reddits and Facebook. It was chaotic, risky, and dangerously opaque.
There wasn't really a great platform. All of this conversation was happening within Reddit or Google Sheets. Physicians have a lot to lose, and so they're not wanting to out themselves. They want to be protected in this community and have those open conversations.
So we built it. ReviewMyResidency.com became a quiet revolution, an anonymous space for med students and residents to speak their truth. But guess what? He wasn't done yet. As his wife moved into residency, he noticed a new problem. Nobody knew what a fair salary was. Now, we all know that residents are notoriously underpaid, but we needed a place to start. Sure, you could go to Google, which gave you ranges, and forums gave opinions, but nobody had the facts.
Now, if you go into Google and you search, how much does a cardiologist make? You'll get a very wide range of responses. And typically the top 5 search results on Google are from, these mega companies like Indeed or Salary.com or Glassdoor that don't really cater to physicians. And my opinion is the data should be free.
With no coding background, Tyler rolled up his sleeves and he built the first version of SalaryDoctor.com on something called Wix.
They have a drag and drop editor. They made it very easy. And so after it gained a good amount of traction, kind of earlier than I imagined, I kind of outgrew the limitations of what Wix would allow. And I wish I had a screenshot of my original website because it was very, very bare bones, not very pretty, not very functional, but it worked.
This idea is something that we call your MVP, or your minimal viable product. And this is why I love telling the stories of healthcare entrepreneurs. Tyler was able to say, okay, what is the cheapest and fastest way to build out a prototype that I can then test and see if there's actually a need for this in the market? And here's the cool thing. What he found out is that the need or the demand was bigger than he had ever expected. Today, Salary Doctor has over 2,700 verified physician salary submissions, and it's not just about money.
Although I have a platform based solely on compensation and how much physicians make, I also believe if you're only choosing a specialty based on the compensation, that's probably not great. But that's also why I've incorporated lifestyle insights into the salary submissions and how many hours are physicians working. Because there's more to your life than just how much money you make. You really have to decide for yourself.
Tyler is now building a tool that takes your job offer and tells you instantly, is it competitive or are you being lowballed?
You'll be able to upload your offer onto the platform and instantly know, is it a good offer? Is it a bad offer?
Tyler built these tools while working full-time. He taught himself how to code, learned AI prompts, and marketed everything, one TikTok and Instagram reel at a time.
I post at least one TikTok every single day. I haven't missed a holiday or a weekend. I did it on my birthday.
And he didn't wait to become an expert. He just got started.
Perfection is the enemy of progress. Sometimes it's better to push something out that's 80% there and get that feedback from your customer base and your community, and then iterate from there.
So to anyone listening to this now, especially you healthcare workers with a vision, he's got one final message.
If you wait for it to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect.
Tyler Polk may not be wearing a white coat, but he's become a vital part of the healthcare journey. One story, one spreadsheet, and one act of transparency at a time. So if you want to figure out what your peers are making so that you can ask for a fair and competitive salary, make sure to go to salarydoctor.com. And if you have a great idea that can help the system, start building it today. Thanks for listening to the MedStory podcast, where we share the stories of the greatest minds in science and medicine. I'm your host, Spencer Locke, with a special thanks to our executive producer, Shaina May. Our music comes from Blue Dot Sessions and the Descript Audio Library. The MedStory podcast is made possible by MedStory Studios and listeners like you. So if you'd like to support us, please leave a review. It means more than you know. And if you have a story to share or want to produce a podcast of your own, reach out to us at info@medstorymedia.com. We'll see you in the next episode.